Confessions of a trading addict. I'm a trading addict. And I don't use the word addict or addiction lightly, like, oh, I just love to trade. I mean it in that in my trading journey, trading has become, or became, because I'm working through this and things are going better, but trading became a compulsion, it became a destabilizing force, it became negative and toxic. It turned from investing and making money to a consistent money loser. And I know a lot of you can relate to this. So there's various forms of the compulsion. A lot of it for me is on putting on trades and watching the chart. In this dopamine cycle, I mean, what an addiction is when one source of dopamine gets prioritized over all others. So it kind of takes over your life. It becomes destabilizing and takes over your life. So I've seen that with trading, where it became the main thing I did with my time. Not trading research, but placing trades. And it has disrupted my sleep, placed trades in the bathroom at work. Honestly, from the beginning, it's been a huge distraction. And it's like pulled me in. And I know I'm not alone. This affects most people, most traders. I would argue if you're placing trades manually in 2025, you have a trading addiction. Because from a logical standpoint, it doesn't make any sense when it's not that hard to trade algorithms that trade for you, that have no execution error. Like, if you're not have the patience to build something and you just want to dive in and just place trades manually against bots that are placing hundreds and thousands of trades, and you aren't sure what your edge is, you may have an addiction. If you're looking at charts while you're driving, it's disrupting or disordering your sleep, if you're not present with people around you because you're checking charts, you may have an addiction. And it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm making money, so it's not an addiction. That's what I thought for the longest time. I was like, I'm making money, I'm profitable, so the ends justify the means, and people will tell you that. That's the cost of trading. It's stressful, it's time intensive. And one of my early models in trading, I don't want to call him out because I like him, I think he's a good trader, but he's an absolute chart addict. He's sick all the time. He's hopes Bitcoin can do its thing so it can let him sleep. He's got his computer sending alerts that wake him up in the middle of the night to put on trades. And he's very successful. It seems like he makes a lot of money. However, what's the cost, right? So you can win at trading and lose at life, but for me, trading turned into losing at trading and losing at life. And the reason why is it's a little bit complicated, but emotionally you have this dopamine cycle where greed has you put on a trade, or I put on a trade because of greed, and then anxiety and fear come in, and then I'm just staring at the chart, I'm getting dopamine every time it moves in my favor, and then the relief of closing the trade, and then rinse and repeat. It's very addictive even if you're losing, which is why people can be chronic losers in the market. It also explains why it can get worse over time. Addiction gets worse over time. So more glued to the chart, spend more time on it, bigger risk. And that explains for me why my first couple years were profitable and then the next couple years were not. And my results got worse and worse, from having like some really amazing trading months and periods to basically every month is a loser. How is it possible to be a consistent loser? Well, that's the addiction. And it's also what the market is designed to do to people, to take their money. And it's also an endless edge. So you can always trade against gambling addicts. Gambling addicts will always exist. They'll always be in the market. So it's a yield that you can take that's available just from having algorithmic trading. So where am I now? Well, it wasn't until year 4 that I realized, hey, this may be trading addiction. The first couple years, I was like, I'm making money, so there's no issue here. The third year, I was like, all right, I'm starting to struggle, but this is just the cost of learning the skill. And year 4 was like, no, I think this is like maybe an addiction. And year 5 coming into it, I'm like, it's definitely an addiction, and I need to manage it and monitor it carefully, so I don't not just lose money but lose time. And that's been the big thing for me, is how much time it's taken for me. I'm a very creative person, and I'll be like staring at an individual chart, an individual trade, and debating over it. And in that time, I could have created a whole algorithmic strategy and had it running. Right? It's just a terrible use of time. But yeah, it can get worse over time with trading, because the trauma that builds up in the conditioning, it becomes over. Like at first, you are trying to make money, but after a while, what happens in the addiction is you end up trading not a narrative or not a chart, but trading pain. Right? Like there's different forms of loss aversion, but this is a key part of it, where you either close the trade too early because you're afraid of giving back profit, or you're afraid of getting stopped out, or you hold the trade when it's moving against you, when you should close because you're loss averse and don't want to realize the loss. It can be both, and you could ask, well, Trav, how is it if I close early or if I hold too long? It's loss aversion in both ways. The key is the motivation for closing the trade or not closing the trade. If you're doing it to mitigate and avoid pain, or to manage pain, then you're trading pain, and it's an addiction. It's not a right. If you're trading to manage pain, that's an addiction. It's not a business. So where I am now, thank God, I'm healthy. I've got a couple awesome gigs going. I've got my business. Despite the trading addiction, I've been able to develop or build a team, and also develop with them a number of different strategies. And the biggest thing for me has been algorithmic trading. The first is realization of like, all right, I need to quit. For the longest time, I didn't want to quit because of my story, for 2 reasons. One is my story, and second is inflation. You need to manage your money to learn to invest if you don't want to get cooked by inflation in the long term. I don't really like real estate personally, because I don't like I don't want to be on a mortgage payment. But you need to learn how to invest. So I'm like, well, I can't quit trading, because then I'm just admitting defeat against these assholes who inflate money away. And the second is, I didn't want my story to be like a quitter. I want to see this to the end. But I've since realized that trading for that story, it just doesn't really make sense. My story can be delegating. I'm the CEO of my life. I don't need to put on the trades. I don't need to be the person to do it. I'm perfectly happy. I came here to check out the surf. The surf looks not very good. I'm perfectly happy to delegate and outsource, and to not be the one putting on trades. Like, my story can be, I built a trading business. It doesn't need to be I'm a successful trader. So resolving that. The second one is, I can invest without placing the trades myself, and that's through, I really like this arrangement of having someone else plug in bots in my account. So I do have my MTP system, and it's really simple to trade, but I'm just not a person that should be putting trades on. So the thing about the bots, you might say, well, Trav, if you're like a trading addict or whatever, you'll somehow screw up with the bots. So far, that hasn't been the case. I traded bots Forex for 2 to 3 months last year, and the bots didn't work out, but I didn't interfere. I never interfered. And I've been trading crypto bots now for 2.5 months, and I haven't interfered, and the bots have been working. It's been profitable. I have not interfered. And I think there's multiple layers. One is the bots are placing the trades, and also someone else is running the bots. So it's delegated. I'm less attached to a trade that I didn't put on, right? So when I put on a trade, I want to watch it closely. If the bot put on a trade, I'm just not really caring. Also, something I really like about the bots is that they trade so many positions. Before the last wave of trades hit TP, I was in over 100 positions. And since I was in 100 positions, it's just too time intensive to meddle. I can't go in and like turn this one off, or there's just too much going on to even follow. So I'm just like hands off, letting it run. And I also don't always even know my net position. Am I net short or am I net long the market? Because it's hedging, it's trading strategies in both directions. So today, I think the bots are net long a little bit, but not by that much, even though there's a lot of exposure on. It's mostly, it leans to the long side, but it's, I think, by a little. So it's like, this is and has been the solution for me for the struggles that I have in my addiction. So, and I've had, honestly, this is probably the most disruptive addiction that I've had. I wouldn't say I haven't had any. Like, I was pretty addicted to coffee. No, I wouldn't say addicted. It was habitual. The difference between something that's habitual and addiction takes over as the main focus of dopamine. I may have had that for my weed smoking at times in the past. So I do have the experience of quitting habitual problems and working my way out of addiction with the weed smoking. But this one is stronger, and I wouldn't say it's been more difficult. Like, with weed smoking, it took me many years before I had the awareness of, hey, I think this is an addiction. Because it's just justifying it. Your body your mind justifies what your body does. So, I need to stay busy and slap myself if I'm thinking about putting on a trade. And also, the more bots that I take on, the more it replaces me and don't feel the need to do it. But I see the place in my trading business now as being, I'm the CEO, I'm the capital manager, I create trading strategy concepts, I give them to my developers, which I have 2, and I do content marketing and talk to people. I know I might not have the biggest audience, but I know you guys like me because I'm so transparent and because I'm honest and talk about things people don't. And also because I do actually make good systems, even if I don't trade them particularly well. Well, the answer to that is bots and algos. And yeah, it's such a solution because I get my time back. If I had realized this from the very beginning, my goal would have been to delegate to bots from the very beginning. Which would have been a lot harder in 2020, 2019, actually, because ChatGPT wasn't out. When did ChatGPT come out? It's only been a couple years, right? 2-3 years. It's taking over quickly. So, yeah, but now we live in a world where we can do it. So, I encourage you can learn how to make your own bots, but what I've found is it takes more than just ChatGPT. You still need a developer, because the ChatGPT can create skeleton code, but it still needs to be proofed. So you either need to figure out how to do that or partner with someone who does. For me, it's partnering with someone who does. I'm just not that interested in doing it. I'm not a perfectionist. You need a perfectionist personality for it. I'm very loose conceptual. or you could partner up with someone who has good systems. So if you're interested, the link below, I have my MTP system, which is investing, and that is the MTP system is investing. It can be fully automated. We also have the crypto bots. There's a link to that down below. If you go sign up for the email, I'm gonna show you, I'll give you a free login to the dashboard so you can see how the bots perform. I suspect we're only a couple months away from launching those bots. But if you want to trade them, you need a Palau digital ID so that you can trade on the BitGet exchange. So if you're interested in doing that, there's a link down below. You can check it out. For me, it's been a huge saver. In the last 3 months, I've had it running, 2.5 months. I've had a couple relapses into discretionary trading. Some of them were wins, some of them were losses. I think that the discretionary trading is probably a small net loss on the year. But I'm still working my way out of it, and that's part of addiction, actually, is relapsing is part of it, and you don't need to be ashamed. Over time, you manage it better, relapse less, shorter periods, and that's what I've experienced. It'll be like one trade over a couple days instead of like a months-long bender. So yeah, it's been a huge solution for me, and I'm excited to share that solution. So go fill out your email if you want to go check it out. Okay, appreciate y'all, much love. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.